Hi, everybody. My name is Cynthia Kane, and I'm actually one of the librarians at the Emporia State University Libraries and Archives. This video tutorial is intended to introduce you to some various library resources and databases that you can use to do research for your next project in EG101, which would be the Writing for Change essay. So in this online session, by the time we finish, you'll be able to identify a social issue in order to construct evidence for positive change, learn how to use appropriate databases through the library to find some pro and some con perspectives on your topic, how to do basic and some advanced search techniques to find at least 3 credible sources, depending upon what your instructor is asking you to do, to find information about the social issue. And finally, we're going to show you about 2 resources that we have. One is called the New York Times Digital Edition, and the other is called Flipster. And these 2 will actually help you identify some current issues going on nationally and in the world, and be able to get some good updated information on those as well. So by the time we finish watching this session and going through it, I think you'll have everything that you need to be able to do some really good research to get your Writing for Change essay really set and ready to go. So what I'd like for you to do is kind of think on your own about these starting points. You might recall that early in the semester, you would have come physically to the library building to do a session called the Amazing Library Race. And in that one, we had you literally race around the library to find different places to research, for services, for resources, and so forth. What I'd also like you to do, though, is think about research projects that you've already done for high school and in other classes. Where have you started to first look for information? And if your response would be, well, I go to Google first, that's an okay answer. There's nothing wrong with using Google first. I will often resort to Google if I don't know anything about a topic and I really want to know more. I want current websites, I want current news. Google is an excellent place to start for something like that. And often they do work for us. However, one thing we want you to be aware of in this session is that sometimes Google is not always the answer. And often what will happen in certain sites or in certain resources, such as Google Scholar, for example, sometimes you can get to a point in which you find a citation or a reference to an article online, and you think that it's going to be completely free. And then you click on that link, and you suddenly are taken to the publisher's website. And that website says you can have access to this article, but you might need to pay $50 for it or even more. We don't want you to do that. As an ESU student, even completely online, we have a lot of library databases that we pay quite a bit of money for, but because we do that, we're able to provide a lot of free information, credible, scholarly, reliable resources to you, completely free of charge. And we want you to know about them and then how to use them for any type of research need. So today, what we are doing in this online session is focusing on the Writing for Change essay. So what we're going to do is have you identify a social issue that maybe you feel very strongly about, and we're going to help you figure out how to find information about a topic and even how to find a topic if you're not quite sure what to do yet. We're also going to teach you about thinking about a variety of perspectives about the topic. So, for example, we might have a topic that might have some social implications. It might have some medical implications. It might have some psychological implications. And that can very much affect the way that you do research on that topic and the databases or the resources that you go to find information on that topic. I've mentioned a little bit already some differences among using Google, Google Scholar, and library databases, but again, I want you to be very comfortable and familiar with how to find those databases and how to use them effectively. So in just a second, we're going to switch over to the library's webpage, www.emporia.edu/library. And I'm going to take you through these 4 databases specifically because they're all very good about giving articles, viewpoint essays, other items that present the pros and cons on a variety of topics. They will all offer something too that's called a cite or citation tools feature. And this can be very helpful because you can find a reference to an article or to an essay or other source. You click on the Cite or Citation Tools, and it will generate a citation for you in MLA, which is what you're going to be using to write your paper. But there's a big caution. These citation tools are only a start. Sometimes you have to go in and correct some spelling or some capitalization. So always proofread with any citation help that your Composition 1 instructor is going to give you through Canvas. And you can also contact us at the library if you have any questions. We're happy to help you with citations. So I'm going to do some practicing in just a second online. And I want you to think about your topic that you'd like to do for your Writing for Change essay as I demonstrate some of these resources. I'm going to use a topic on tuition-free universities. What would it be like if we never had to pay any tuition to attend a college or a university? And there are some universities across the United States that have moved to that. Is that good? Is that bad? What are some of the pros and what are some of the cons of moving to an approach like that? So at this point, I'm going to switch my screen over, and I'm going to walk you through the process of accessing our web page and then how we actually find these resources and make them work for us. So the fastest way to get to the library's web page is www.emporia.edu/library. And then you'll see a screen that says Emporia State University Libraries and Archives. I'm going to stop here for just a second. As you know, with classes being conducted online for the rest of the spring semester, we are now offering a lot of help online for you. So beginning Saturday, March 21st through Friday, April 10th, and we'll see if it goes beyond that, we are actually going to be online as librarians and graduate assistants from 10 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. at night, Central Standard Time. And that is 7 days a week, so that includes Saturdays and Sundays. You could call and leave a message for us at 620-341-5207. You could email us at librep01@emporia.edu. But during any of these times, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days a week, if you just clicked on the Zoom link, you would actually be able to Zoom in with one of us online in person in real time. And we'd love to do that with you as well. So don't hesitate to do that. So at this point, I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to click on a link called Databases. And this may or may not look familiar to you depending upon what you've done earlier in our library. And the first link I am going to go to is the letter O, because we're going to look at one of the first databases that will help you with your essay called Opposing Viewpoints in Context. And we'll just let this load here. Now, I'm actually already logged in to my emporia.edu account. When you do this for the first time, you're going to see a screen right before this one that's going to ask you to enter your ESU username and your password. Now, that just authenticates you as a currently enrolled ESU student, so don't be surprised. The great thing about this, though, is that once you do this for the first time, as long as you stay in this browsing session and you don't exit anything, you won't have to keep relogging in. So that's kind of a nice thing. So Opposing Viewpoints in Context contains a number of resources. It has articles, scholarly journal articles. It has some book chapters. It has essays that present pro and con viewpoints. And there are several ways that you can search. As you see, given what's going on in the world right now, one of the big topics that's an issue of interest is infectious diseases. But if I click here, this might also help you give some ideas for your Writing for Change essay if you're still trying to think about a topic. And you see there are some really good suggestions here. Or if I went up here to Browse Issues, you can see that there's a lot of different categories that I could browse in that might give me some ideas. Food insecurity is a very big issue right now, and actually that would make a perfect Writing for Change essay topic. Food waste would be another good one. For-profit education, Lots of different possibilities. So if you are struggling on trying to find ideas for a topic, I would really encourage you to go to Opposing Viewpoints and click on Browse Issues. I could also go over here, and I'm going to try my topic of tuition-free universities. And notice what's happening as I start typing here. I'm getting some interesting things here, which actually, if I back up, university tuition fees. If I start typing in tuition again, college tuition and student loans, that actually might help support my argument that all colleges and universities should be tuition free. So let's go to this one. And you'll see that we have college tuition and student loans. I have a nice overview of this topic. And I could use this to get some background information and some main ideas. So this can really help you generate some ideas. And I could use part of this as a source for my paper. When I go down to the bottom of this screen, I mentioned that sometimes there are citations. This is a good example. This has the citation for this overview of the topic in MLA in the 8th edition, and I can copy and paste that, again, proofreading it with any citation help that my Composition 1 instructor has given me. Let's go back up here. So that's a nice start, but over here, you notice that I have some related articles that I could click on. And again, this is all relating to my topic of tuition-free universities. Now I need to look and see when these particular sources were published. Some of these were published in 2016 and 2017. Now this is interesting because this is actually presenting a little bit of a con viewpoint. In other words, we probably should keep tuition fees. And I can read this. Now something I can do here too on Opposing Viewpoints, there are always going to be links here in which I can actually save this article to my Google Drive. So I don't have to remember if I've emailed it to myself or if I've actually printed it out at home or done something else. I can, again, go up here to Cite, and then this will help me cite this specific article. And I just really like Opposing Viewpoints because there's just so much here that you can browse in. And as I mentioned, you can always start with issues of interest or browse issues, or you can just start searching for your topic here and then find a variety of journal articles, essays, pro and con viewpoints, and so forth. I'm going to close this one for just a second. This will take me back to my databases list. And the next one we're going to go to is CQ Researcher. We'll scroll down here. And remember, I'm already logged in at home with my eSU username and password, so I don't have to log back in again. Now, CQ Researcher is a little bit different. CQ Researcher is actually a source that publishes a lot of full-text reports on a variety of pro and con perspectives. So there's a ton of information in CQ Researcher. Again, if you're still kind of thinking about a topic, you can go here to Browse Topics, kind of find something maybe that looks interesting, or you can browse reports by the most recent date. They usually publish a new report every week. Or you could go up here and you can search by keyword. And I'm going to see if my topic would happen to work in this. I'm going to give you a heads up too. Depending upon the topic that you're working on, do not be surprised if one database might work and another database might not work for you that well. It just depends upon the topic. I think if you can find a database that works, that's a really good one to focus on. So for CQ Researcher, we have one that's called College Costs, perfect for my topic. I can read this report here on the screen, or if I click on View PDF, I'm going to wait for this to open on my computer. And then I could actually read the PDF version as well. I think it just depends on what is more comfortable for you. Now, if I wanted to save the PDF for later on, I would actually need to save it here to my computer directly. The one thing about CQ Researcher, if you see a place to email or save, that doesn't work as nicely as some of these other databases. It's not going to let you save to Google Drive, for example. You are going to have to probably download a PDF version of a report and then go ahead and then just save that to your computer. Or you can upload that PDF to your Google Drive. It might have to be a two-step process. But the nice thing about CQ Researcher is that it's always going to give you some pro and con perspectives. So here's is a four-year college degree worth the cost, and that might be a good thing for me to read about in terms of tuition costs, arguing perhaps for tuition-free universities, and so forth. Like our other databases, if I go to Cite Now, and if I go to MLA here, I have an MLA citation for this report that I could copy and paste into a working bibliography, again, checking to make sure that it is actually appropriate and that I don't have to make any other corrections on it. I'm going to close this again and close this, and I'm back at my Databases tab. Points of View Reference Center is another one. Notice these are really easy to find under the A to Z list. Now, sometimes Points of View Reference Center will not work as well, but it's always worth just trying it just to see what happens here. And we'll let this search. Free college for all. So in this particular instance, I'm getting some good articles. So if I click on PDF full text, there's a nice PDF version. Kind of let that load there. It's still loading. But this is one that I could actually read online. This says Free College for All. And there it is. There's the PDF of it. And over here on this side, I could go ahead and save this PDF to my Google Drive. This little button here will let me cite the article in MLA style. We'll close this one. And one of the last ones I wanted to show you was Issues and Controversies. And this again is good for giving pro and con perspectives on different topics. Again, you notice that we do have quite a few current issues here. This is a very good place to browse if you're still thinking about a particular topic that you want to do for this essay. Tuition-free universities. There's college tuition costs. Look, that came up when I started to type. Sometimes you can let the database sort of help you search. And this is talking about, is college tuition a sound investment? Some of these are going to be a little bit less relevant as I go in. I could go in here, and this will give me some pro-con articles. If there are any infographics or graphic representations of things that I might want to use, this shows that since 1940, we've really increased the number of people that have a bachelor's degree. That might be an interesting statistical information for me to include. And we go back up here. Let's go back to pro-con article. And if I go here to Page Tools, this is where I could save an article, do the citation again. There's MLA. I could download. I can share this by email, but it doesn't look like with this particular database I have that option to share it directly to Google Drive. So I might have to download it and then upload it to Google Drive. Again, it just depends on what works for you. We'll close this tab. I'm going to go back to our presentation for just a second. And I want you to explore those different databases that I've listed here and that I've demonstrated for you. and just see what you find as you gather information for your topic. The next thing I'm going to do is go back to www.emporia.edu/library, and I'm going to show you the New York Times Digital Edition and Flipster. These can be great additional sources of information, particularly if you're doing topics that are very, very current. So with the New York Times, we're going to go to the letter N, again in the databases. And there's a button here. It's not showing up as well on my computer as it may on yours, but this is where you would need to click on to register for your free account for the New York Times. Now, you have free access to this as an ESU student, but you must register with your g.emporia.edu account. It won't work with any others. I'm going to go ahead and log in here and let this remember me. I'm a faculty member. You notice that if you register as a student, you would put your anticipated graduation year. And my pass is still active, so I can go directly to New York Times, which you can do once you register. And the great thing about this is now I can browse, and you see I'm getting a lot of updated information about the coronavirus, of course. But I can also go into any of these particular links, and I can just see what is going on in science, in health, in the arts, travel. So this is a very good way of getting very current information and keeping up with something that is reliable, because with the New York Times, that's a newspaper that's been around for a long time. So you're getting more accurate, more unbiased information than you may with other sources. And this is totally free to you as an ESU student. The last thing we're going to do here is go to the letter F. And I do want to show you about Flipster. You might just enjoy going through Flipster being at home anyway, just for pure entertainment purposes as well. So Flipster is a collection of digital magazines, and we have a lot of different topics, anywhere from academic to comics and graphic novels, to lifestyle, to news and politics, and so forth. And the marvelous thing about this is that if you click on any of these links, like for example, if I went into, let's go to the Atlantic. The reason this is called Flipster is that I quite literally can flip through current issues of a magazine online. There's also an app that you can download onto your tablet or your phone, and you can sign into Flipster that way as well. And I can go over here, and you see this is just like reading a magazine, except I'm just reading it online and just sort of flipping through. I can zoom into the particular pages to see that a little bit better. So there are just a lot of different things that I can do with this. I'm moving my screen down a little bit because I wanted to show you that you can also get into back issues this way. So you can read recent issues of magazines, but you can also go back through here and read back issues as well. And you don't have to register for Flipster like you did with the New York Times. So I would just encourage you to check out Flipster, not only for this Writing for Change essay, but also as just a way of maybe finding some other reading while you're home and then doing your classes online for the rest of this semester. We'll go back over here. Thank you so much for watching this video. You're going to have information from your instructors as well, but as we wind up ending this presentation, I just want to emphasize again, back to the libraries tab, please contact us for help. When I indicate that we are here, I mean that very literally. We are going to be here Saturday, March 21st through Friday, April 10th. When I say here, I mean here online, virtually. And literally, that's going to be 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can, like I said, call us or email us, or anytime between that 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. If you click on the Zoom link, you'll be able to chat online with us. Please do this if you run into any snags, not only with the Writing for Change essay, but also for any research needs. We are here to help. Good luck, and I hope you have a great rest of the semester.